Nobody has the right to breathe the air near our lake. That was the venomous declaration from the most tyrannical HOA president I'd ever crossed paths with. Vivian Caldwell. She dragged me to court simply because I had the audacity to buy a house just beyond her HOA's iron grip and dared to stroll by the lake. It sounds like the ravings of a madwoman, but Vivian was hiding a secret she'd buried for 3 decades. In just 3 minutes of dissecting her lawsuit, I uncovered it. What she thought would crush me became the weapon that toppled her empire of fear. My name is Nathan Brooks, and 6 months ago, I believed I'd finally found my sanctuary. After watching my mother endure relentless harassment from an HOA until she was forced to sell her home, I swore I'd never fall into that trap. So, when I stumbled upon a cozy house just outside the Willow Creek HOA boundaries, I thought I'd struck gold. The house was modest but perfect, with a small office ideal for my freelance web design work. Best of all, it sat a mere 50 yards from a breathtaking lake, its public walking path leading straight to the water's edge. My mom always said, "Nathan, never let anyone wield power over you like they did to me." I was determined to honor her words by steering clear of HOA drama. For the first few weeks, life was idyllic. Each morning, I'd sip my coffee and wander along the lake, the water shimmering under ancient oaks. Families fed ducks, elderly couples shared quiet moments on benches, and joggers pounded the path. It was a slice of suburban paradise where neighbors nodded hello and nobody meddled. But perfection like that, it never lasts. Enter Vivian Caldwell, the embodiment of every HOA nightmare, amplified to a chilling degree. At 65, with immaculate silver hair that defied the wind, she ruled Willow Creek from her sprawling lakeside mansion, boasting the best view. For 8 years, she'd been HOA president, transforming the community into her personal fiefdom. She didn't just enforce rules, she wielded influence over lawyers, city officials, and even private security firms. This wasn't a nosy neighbor. This was a dictator in pearls. Our first meeting seemed harmless. I was sketching the lake for a client's project when she glided over, her smile as cold as the water. "Welcome to our paradise," she purred, introducing herself as Vivian Caldwell, HOA president. When I shared that I'd just moved into the house down the road, her eyes narrowed. "The little gray cottage? That's outside our community, isn't it? How quaint." The words dripped with disdain, as if my existence offended her. She went on, "This lake is maintained for our residents, people who uphold our standards." I calmly noted that the path was public, for city maps I'd checked before buying. Her smile twisted into a grimace. "Oh, you're one of those who think they know better than those of us who've lived here for decades. We'll see about that." Within days, her campaign began. An email, copied to the HOA board, arrived with the subject Community Standards Reminder. Its veiled language accused certain individuals of exploiting amenities meant for contributing members. Behind the scenes, Vivian filed baseless city complaints, alleging I'd built unpermitted structures. Then came the private security guards. They trailed me during my morning walks, snapping photos and scribbling notes, while signs sprouted up, monitoring suspicious activity. When I confronted one, he suggested I find another place to walk. It was a calculated move to drive me out. Overhearing my neighbor Clara Hughes, the HOA secretary of 15 years, I learned the depth of Vivian's reign. "She's a monster," Clara whispered to a friend. "The Millers lost their home after she fined them $15,000 for planting unapproved shrubs. The Thompsons paid $3,000 for grass half an inch too long. She bankrupts anyone who defies her." Vivian had woven a web of fear, and the community was too cowed to resist. That night, staring at the lake from my porch, my mother's words echoed, "Never let power go unchecked." I decided to fight, but Vivian was already steps ahead. 3 days later, a sharp knock interrupted my work. A man in a crisp suit handed me a manila envelope. "Nathan Brooks, you've been served." Inside was a lawsuit from Gregory Vance, a high-powered attorney whose letterhead screamed wealth. The claims were staggering: trespassing, disturbing the peace, and absurdly lowering property values, all because I lived near the lake without paying HOA dues. They demanded $50,000 and a restraining order to bar me from the lake, effectively forcing me to sell my home. Vivian's personal statement was the kicker. Non-HOA residents have no right to live near our lake. Mr. Brooks is an undesirable threat to our community's values. The arrogance was matched only by the document's chilling professionalism. As a freelancer, $50,000 might as well have been $1 billion. I called my mom, her voice heavy with defeat. Maybe it's time to walk away, Nathan. People like her always win. But then, poring over the lawsuit, I spotted it. Willow Creek HOA claims absolute and exclusive ownership of the lakeside recreational area. My heart raced. You can't just claim public land. There'd be deeds, surveys, city approvals, none of which I believed existed. Researching property law, I confirmed that transferring public land requires rigorous processes, none likely met here. Vivian had overreached, and I had her. I called Marcus Reed, a real estate attorney known for toppling giants. Nathan, he laughed after hearing the claim. If this land is public, we don't just win, we bury them. Vivian, meanwhile, was gloating, telling neighbors she'd teach that outsider a lesson. But she'd miscalculated. At the city planning office, we hit a wall records were unavailable, suspiciously requested for legal review. The library's backups were similarly borrowed, with Vivian's name tied to the request. She was covering her tracks. Clara, risking everything, tipped me off to a backup office downtown. There, we found it, a 1993 city map declaring the lake public access land, Willow Creek Park, stamped and signed by officials. It was dynamite. Vivian hadn't just defrauded the community for 30 years. In court, Gregory Vance unveiled a polished 2020 survey claiming HOA ownership, complete with official-looking stamps. Judge Laura Bennett seemed swayed, questioning our 1993 map's relevance. When Marcus argued the survey's validity, she postponed the case for 30 days to verify it, leaving me gutted. Vivian crowed outside. That boy will learn his place. Neighbors turned cold, fearing her wrath. My mom urged me to quit, but Marcus sensed a flaw in the survey. 3 weeks later, he called, electrified. The survey was a fake. The municipal signature was from a retired official, and the survey company had no record of the work. It was fraud, plain and simple. At the next hearing, Marcus dismantled Vance's case, exposing the forged survey. I held up the 1993 map, its red stamps gleaming. The courtroom froze. Vivian erupted, screaming, "That's impossible. I own this community." Judge Bennett fined her $5,000 for contempt, dismissed the case, and ordered a fraud investigation. Vance fled, his career in tatters. The community buzzed with shock. But Vivian wasn't done. Within 48 hours, she launched a smear campaign, plastering the neighborhood with flyers calling me a dangerous outsider. She planned an emergency safety meeting to vote me out, hiring actors to stack the room. Clara, fed up, proposed live streaming it to expose Vivian's corruption, armed with HOA financials she'd copied for months. At the meeting, Vivian ranted about my threat to property values. I strode to the front, projecting damning evidence. Vivian had siphoned $80,000 for personal expenses, home upgrades, legal fees, even a European conference. Emails showed her anonymously reporting neighbors for petty violations, ruining lives. When she lunged for my laptop, neighbors blocked her. The live stream exploded, with 500 viewers watching her empire crumble. The community voted 23-2 to oust her and audit the HOA. Vivian's mansion hit the market within days. She vanished at dawn, a fugitive from her own legacy. A newspaper expose revealed her past scams, cementing her disgrace. The community reborn, Clara led a new association focused on respect, not rules. Kids played by the lake, free at last. A sign, Public Land Champion, honored my fight. The audit uncovered Vivian's $80,000 theft, sparking a criminal probe. Families reclaimed fined funds, and the city tightened HOA oversight. That evening, alone by the lake, I called my mom. "We lit the way, Mom. The darkness is gone. One person, 3 minutes, and the truth had freed a neighborhood from 8 years of terror." Never let a bully think they can rewrite justice.